So look at this,
Oh, okay.
125% sharp spike from 38, and then
Oh,
it's
nice.
dissipated nicely. And this is exactly what you were saying, right? Like use the
Right, right, right,
spike
right,
to sort of use the spike to take the position against the trend.
right, right,
And this IV would have spiked on, and it's dissipated in next 12 hours itself.
right, right.
And this is our IV minus RV chart. Look at how far from the standard deviation it is.
Actual this thing.
Just like two standard deviation is not able to cover it. Just like five
Right,
standard deviations. So, so like 10 units percentage points is one standard deviation. The
right,
shift is
right.
like 50 points away. So
So I think this is both a boon and a bane in
yeah, if you're
broader.
short and you want to be hedged around these positions, so you have to be
100.
yes. So stop losses and capital management, protection, and hedges are important. So we had done a research report where we were looking to study how does a simple MACD perform.
Mhm.
And what we found was that look, if the interest rate in the ecosystem, if the dollar in the ecosystem, or if the dollar interest rate in the ecosystem is high, then, or which is how this funding is reflected, the basis. If this
Mhm.
basis starts to go really high, and then there's a sign of a very strong trend in the market. So if you
Okay,
have
okay.
higher basis, that you can use as a filter to get your correct positioning on MACD, and the
Okay,
returns were
okay.
quite exciting actually. So we've seen a lot of these traders, a lot of our traders use these kind of strategies on these markets. So simple technicals would work with some filters which are sort of able to do a regime identification, as in is it trending, is it consolidating, or
Got
is
it.
it downward or upward.
Understood.
Hi Saket, welcome to Delta Exchange, or should I say this virtual podcast that we do with our customers and traders. So good to be with you. Thanks for taking the time, and I wanted to sort of catch up with you today when markets hit 100K on Bitcoin, and just
Right.
talk about how are you thinking about Bitcoin, how are you thinking about crypto derivatives markets, how are, you have been looking at these markets for a while now. So just share your insights with customers and with other fellow traders as to, and those who have questions around uh, FNO trading on cryptocurrency. Uh,
Right.
Folks, I'm Pankaj and this is Saket, and yes, Uh, we are here from Delta Exchange. So, Saket, why don't we start with a brief introduction about yourself?
Right. First of all, thank you very much for having me on this show, Pankaj. So it's a pleasure interacting with you. All right. So a quick brief introduction about myself is I'm mostly a professional trader and I have been a trader since almost around a decade now. So I have built my career around trading. So primarily into equity F&O, that is like traditional stocks, right? And now slowly also trying to explore other stuff like how you said. You rightly said with respect to when it comes to Bitcoin hitting a new mark of 100K and how exactly we are looking into this market, right? So the thing is, here broadly there are multiple things, Pankaj. So in the broader, if you take a look at the macroscopic level, so I feel that we are a very small chunk of the entire capital market, very like minuscule, you might say, right?
Absolutely.
So yeah,
Early
so
days.
what yeah, what people would be doing is the bigger guys will be trying to seize the opportunity that exists all around, right?
Yeah.
And so do we. So right, so we should also try to evolve ourselves. We should also try to look at different things where the opportunity currently exists. And I personally feel as a trader, so I didn't do this maybe for a period of 6 to 9 months, and that I feel like particularly has put us slightly on the back seat, which we are trying to catch up now. So what exactly it is? right? So I will tell you where exactly I mean about this as well, right? So maybe during the time of February, March, when the equity markets started to move violently, which the moves didn't have any kind of explanation, where the markets fell mid cap fell 1%, and then next it was followed by Sensex and Nifty, where it fell 1-2% within a minute, recovered fully, then came back. So then there was frequent occurrence of the stop loss simply being hit with market not moving anywhere, the premiums not decaying. So these were some signs of things that starting to change. And I feel as traders, so whether you're sitting in front of the screen and trading, or you're looking at the broader part of your career, so any business for that matter, not just trading. So if you don't evolve with time, so you're going to be out of the business, right?
Yeah.
So the thing is, as and when things start to get challenging, I feel the most important part for any person to do in his career would be to evolve with time, right? So once you feel the opportunity which existed doesn't exist anymore, or opportunity which things which you were doing before is not working anymore, right? So it is important that we also try to evolve. And the thing is, still these things started to happen on a regular basis, maybe which I could have seen it in say February, March. So it took me a while till July, August to actually see, okay, this is not working out the way I thought. So what are the other opportunities I have which I can seize to or which I can definitely capture, right? So because when I initially entered the markets in 2013, that was a completely, so I was pretty newbie, you can say. By 2015 16 I started to get a hang of the market. And when I actually got into options, within next 1-2 years, when I was buying 2017, weekly options came into picture. So hardly there were few, I think not even a million traders back then. So currently we have 4 million, 5 million active traders. So I don't think there was even a like hardly a million traders active. So trading then was pretty easy, because I will tell you why. So assuming that there are only 5 to 7 lakh traders overall
Yeah.
in the pool, right? So with 5 to 7 or 10 lakh traders, the money in the pool is very little. So it does not attract the bigger players because the money is so less in the pool. So as and when the pool size increases, now everybody wants to get into that and try to take away from the pool, right?
It starts to get
So
crowded, right? It starts to
yeah.
get crowded. Hmm.
Exactly. Absolutely. And the more it gets crowded, the more money comes into the pool, and this again gets bigger players into the pool who have much better infrastructure. And this is a reality that we cannot really compete against them hand to hand, right?
Yeah.
So this is one thing which things started in 17. So we did a very good thing of evolving with time till maybe 2022-23. So one thing I would say which I would regret is definitely missing out on the crypto run. Maybe uh, okay. So I will honestly tell like what I felt about crypto in 2020. So I felt crypto was more like this. I think 2017, 18 also we had a fantastic run in crypto.
Yes. 17 was a very good year. 18 it
Right.
topped out. Yeah.
Exactly. So my hunch was it was going to die more like a tulip bubble how we had in 1600. So like because back then, so coming from a mindset of stock into crypto is very difficult, right? So
Yeah.
you see fundamentals, there is something backing something this thing. So the idea of okay, people might actually look at it as a something that can actually hold value. So broadly, if you see, even gold does not have intrinsic value, right? So there is
No.
no intrinsic. Tomorrow, if
I mean, both of these I would say have intrinsic value, both Bitcoin and gold, but the framework that we are used to, like the
Hmm.
dividend discounted model or the
Exactly.
future cash flows prediction model, that really does not. Maybe that's not the right framework to get the value of these things.
Yeah, I think like how Buffett says, more of this like gold or Bitcoin actually derives the value from how much the other person is willing to pay or accept it as a token, because it's more like an art piece, I would say, right? So at least the, for
Yeah.
example, if the asset itself, let's say, does not generate anything or does not does not generate any cash, so it will be only worth if people around you are willing to pay the price for it. And
Hmm.
for people to pay the price for it, whether be it any kind of this thing, gold or silver or anything, right? So it should have a huge acceptance. So the acceptance shouldn't die down.
Adoption needs to be there, acceptance needs to be there.
Yeah.
Yes.
So even for example, even simple currency, if people is like how it happened with Zimbabwe, when people of that country itself
That's
start,
where I was about to come to. That
yeah,
look, how do you value things? You value currencies on the network value. You value
exactly,
equity on the cash flows.
right, right,
You
right,
value debt on credit and
absolutely,
credit risk and things like that. Maybe you need a framework which sort of encompasses all of these. To value a new asset, you probably need a new framework.
absolutely,
And what
absolutely.
we tend to do, and I've done the same thing. When I first started to look at Bitcoin in 2013, or first I heard about it in 2013,
Uh-huh.
and there was a rally in 2013 as well. So I read it in the newspaper and was discussing with some friends. And
Uh-huh.
again, everyone goes through this same journey of how do I ascertain what's the value of it? And but if you start to follow the news around it, if you start to follow information pieces around it, you'll see that look. Uh, you'll start to feel adoption, you'll start to feel the sense of value, because the it's really the sense of value, it's not
Yeah,
real
yes, yes,
estimation
right,
of value, right? How much can you really relate to it?
right. So I think on to top that, actually there were all these scam coins which were coming
Oh
out,
yeah.
which was like where one side things were where people were slowly building trust, on the other side these things were literally taking away the trust from people. Like all these coins, which like they mostly used for pump and dump, they used to float a coin, right? So like okay, now coming to that, when this had picked up, maybe like again, this was one of the opportunities which could have been seized, because today when I take a look at things from a momentum angle, so it like when things are in like today when we pick, like do have small momentum portfolios, there we don't really try to look at what is the p of the stock or what is the thing of the stock. So you only try to see if the stock is in momentum or not. If it is not, you just throw it away and you get it. So just from that angle, at least maybe getting on into crypto earlier part, just from the momentum angle, would have made much more sense. The reason why I'm telling this is we did have cryptos. Like it was not that we didn't have, right? So we did have cryptos, but unfortunately we liquidated them. So whatever we had, we liquidated them and we just took it out. So so that is something which maybe it does really go back to how your surrounding is, or what people around you talk, or I
Yeah,
think that has a
100%.
huge influence.
Yeah.
Like maybe people around you will be talking about how Bitcoin can be good, and on the other set of this thing, like how people might be talking about it does not have any value and it might be crashing. So that also has a huge influence on your perception of any kind of asset.
Yeah, that's true.
And this actually maybe yeah, like one thing as I was telling is here is where I felt I was at that point not very open to the idea of Bitcoin can potentially become the next asset. And
Yeah.
I myself has discouraged a lot of people from investing in cryptos also, not just uh, but slowly now so it is not that it has completely changed, but one
Yeah.
thing which, going back to your first question, which I have almost taken 12 minutes to answer, but if given a chance to participate in F&O, I would definitely do, because this where I don't have to own the asset, but I can definitely participate in the price of the asset. So essentially,
Yes.
that's what most of the traders want. Like,
You can capture the momentum, you can participate in the moves upside, downside, sideways,
right,
and without really owning the asset. In fact, Delta, our platform is only FNO and built for traders. I mean, only cater to traders, and that's the one of the value adds that we push. That look, look at it. Uh, there's a set of audience that wants to buy and hold. That is great, but for the trading audience, we are building a futures and options platform, and the thing is also that with buying and holding, you need to know how to custody Bitcoin, because it's a virtual asset. You can't go and reissue it again.
Yeah, yeah,
Once you lose custody of it, you've lost it. So it's a and that's one of the things that on our platform, we don't have any cryptocurrency, and you would know,
right, right.
it's Indian rupee
Everything is
deposit.
INR, right?
Yeah. So this was one of the things that came to us from a lot of customers, that look, how do I custody crypto? And for us, it was like, why do you need to custody crypto?
Hmm.
And people were worried that, look, uh, most of the trading happens in, or the quoting of Bitcoin is in dollar. Will I
Hmm.
be buying dollar? How do I buy dollar? I'll have to send money outside India. And we told them that no, none of that is required. Bring in Indian rupee, take out Indian rupee. All your money will remain with Indian banks. No money will go outside India. Everything is in India. And that dollar INR is just a multiplication factor conversion, and all
Right.
participants are Indian, and a market can be developed here completely. INR, bring INR, keep that as collateral. Your P2 minus P1 is your gain, that is in INR. Withdraw INR in your bank account, everything to the bank, and clean.
I think once Delta Exchange India actually came out, right?
Yeah,
So that actually changed the whole thing for me also in terms of looking at Delta Exchange per se.
yeah,
So I remember maybe like last time when I traded with you guys in 2000, uh, 21 or 22, 21, I think,
yeah,
21, 22 somewhere I had tried trading in Delta. So the whole thing was quite complex of like it was not so hassle free, like you had to withdraw the money or to put in the money. So
yeah. It's
the way it
not
had to be done was,
straightforward. Yes.
yeah.
So
And
that's what
now
we also realized, that this has the. Sorry, I'll let you speak, but yeah, this is what I was saying, that we also realized that this is a big bottleneck for the customers. So
right. I think with this new Delta Exchange India, like I will tell you, like recently in 2023 end, I think, or no, 24 mid or something, when Bitcoin was at 44,000 USD. So I had entered into futures
hmm,
in Bitcoin. So
hmm.
I made, but I only started with a very small capital and I had used up the leverage. Right. Didn't make big money, but made very good money for the amount I had put in. Uh, so then it went all the way from so like you will be in such a stock mindset. So from 40,000 it went all the way to 70,000 in that rally,
Yeah,
right? And it consolidated for some 5 6 months, I think, recently when Trump won the election. So in
yeah,
this rally, like the Bitcoin has gone up 10%, 20%, and I'm like, okay, how, like, you are coming from a stock mindset or this thing, you're like, oh, it has already gone up so much, can it go up more, should I liquidate? And I literally liquidated it 49,000 and it
and
went
look
up
at
all
it
the way to
today. It's
70.
almost double, right? More than double.
Yeah. And the reason why I'm telling is this story is because uh, the whole point of how I could easily put the money, like how I put it in the broker's terminal and withdraw the money, like how I withdraw from a broker's terminal, actually made me want to try this. If it was all the way back to like putting in USDT, then transferring here, then again like all that back or peer to peer thing, like there were multiple.
Yeah, I mean, even other exchanges, you have to do all this, right? You have to
Right, right,
buy USDT, withdraw to foreign exchanges or peer to peer. It's just cumbersome. So,
right, right, right. So I
by the
think
way,
that was actually a game changer for you guys.
yes, yes, that is important. That's been one of the key things. But I want to talk about momentum. So that's the thing, right? With momentum, you don't know how,
Right,
uh, when to, when has it ended,
right,
and
right,
when will it continue? Because the way momentum will work in a large cap or a larger asset versus a crypto asset, like you first said, it's still a smaller asset in the larger scheme of things, like as compared to equity markets or other markets. So the barometer for momentum will be very different.
right,
So how do
right.
you think about this? Like, how do you think about, what do you think about crypto momentum right now? Like today we have reached 100K. What do you think? Do we have momentum? Are we topping off? What's your thoughts?
See, momentum wise, definitely, I think from the day it broke out around 70,000, and that to a news led with, and so many people actively coming into the market once that happened. So the momentum picked up from there. And clearly the steam in the market doesn't seem to have ended, right? So this is purely from a momentum perspective, and you have to say, I think currently the asset with the highest momentum is cryptos. Like you see equity
Yes.
market, gold. So maybe couple of months back, it was gold, like which was having much more momentum than equity. So like now equity also has started to pick up momentum since ever since Trump. I'm not talking about the Indian context, but global equity context.
Yeah, S&P is
Yeah,
at all-time high, and
yeah. So once Trump came, but even that has started to pick up momentum. But when you purely measure momentum from the price change perspective, so cryptos has no match. Like index are hardly up by 10-12%, and this is up by almost around 40-50%. Uh,
yeah, for
so
traders, something which is very this thing, right? Like very exciting. And now the good thing is, and this is what I wanted to talk to you about as well. Like there is one thing that the price moves violently, right? That or price moves sharply. Let's use that word versus the liquidity that is available for you to enter and exit.
right.
My sense is liquidity is quite decent in terms of Bitcoin for you to trade, take multiple. Let's say you even if you want to enter a multi-million-dollar position or someone, they can do it with marginal slippage in Bitcoin futures and
Got it.
perpetuals and options. What are your thoughts, like from a customer point of view? What are your thoughts on?
Yeah, customer point of view, I have tried trading on Delta. So I have tried
Yeah,
options, I've tried trading futures. So one thing is like when it comes to future trading, there is absolutely huge liquidity, right? So
yeah,
there is no concern. So one thing what I actually want to know from you, Pankaj, curious, right?
yeah,
So uh, Delta exchange, so there are multiple exchanges, I guess, right? So Delta
yeah.
exchange is one, and so now, are you guys like a liquidity provider within the exchange? Are the trades happening within the exchange, or is it like a overall this thing where you are getting?
No, we are a pure play exchange. So buyers and sellers come and match one another.
Okay, so
So
it should happen within Delta only, right? So the
yeah, yeah.
more, like no,
We are not using liquidity from other exchanges. We are not routing
okay,
orders to other exchanges. We are not a broker to other exchange. We are a pure exchange
okay.
where demand and supply meets. So there are different parties that provide demand and supply, and there are, you know, partnerships that we have done for this. But we are a pure play exchange for buyers and sellers to meet, unlike a few other players who basically either will route, I mean, different folks have different models. Some will
Right.
route orders to other foreign exchanges, some will route orders to other exchanges, or basically not exchanges, but another counterparty. For us, it's anybody can be a buyer, anybody can be a seller, and it's all on the platform.
And one more thing I actually want to know, Pankaj. So I guess today Bitcoin is $4 to $5 trillion or much
So
worth.
there's 21 million bitcoins in circulation
Right,
overall.
and that
Not in
could
circulation, that can ever be generated.
generate, right.
Yeah. About 19 and a half or something are already in circulation. Bulk of it is in circulation. So
Okay, so maybe we might be somewhere around 2 trillion or 20
2
trillion.
trillion
I'm not.
is the number.
Huh. Okay,
Yeah.
so considering the global economy currently, maybe 130-140 trillion dollars, the
Yeah,
whole global economy.
about that. Yes.
Yeah. So, in your opinion, maybe over the course of next 1 or 2 decades, all right. So, how much or what could be the size of this entire Bitcoin in terms of market cap? And then, like, it's more like the interview thing has turned around where I am asking you questions, but it's just to fulfill my curiosity also. And that is one thing. And also the second thing what I wanted to ask you, with all these assets like ethereum and uh, so much more, I forgot the other one, like
Solana. Again.
solana, and we had one more, m starting with m or p, I forgot then. Okay, either way.
Matic. Matic.
Matic, yeah.
Yeah.
With all these adding up, and Ripple and all this is adding up, so how big the whole this thing can get into in terms of the.
So let's say we are talking about Bitcoin Okay, Bitcoin we estimated about $2 trillion. Then
Yeah.
we know that give or take the number is around that. Then we know that Bitcoin dominance is Bitcoin market cap over total market cap is ballpark
Mm.
two third, say. So we are talking about a $3 trillion,
Mm.
asset class. Very small as compared to other asset classes.
Right.
Uh, very small as compared to gold. Very small commodities. One of the known commodities out there is gold. Uh, very small as compared to equities, very small as compared to, of course, debt and money markets are all massive. But if you think about it, though the asset classes are quite old, and that brings trust, that brings resilience because you've had so much time in the system. So 10, 20 years from now, crypto would have done the same thing. There would have been multiple cycles that have gone through. There would have been considerable economy that has been built on top of cryptocurrency assets in some form, either as a pay, whether people utilizing it as payment rails, whether people utilizing it as blockchain as technology, whether people utilizing it for participation in uh, liquidity markets or capital markets, uh, any one way or another. So 10, 20 years down the line, I think there'll be quite a significant jump from where we are right now, or a couple of percentage points, maybe 2.5% would have jumped massively. How big is difficult to comment. Uh, but if I look at the last one such change was internet, and you look at it, size of internet companies over total companies in 90s and
Mm.
early 2000s, and versus now, there's been a massive growth. And look, these journeys are never one way. So you and I both know markets
Yeah.
are cyclical. They run ahead of themselves. They pull back. They correct. They rationalize. The more people get added. But what you want to look for is subsequent validation and subsequently higher numbers, which in trading we call higher highs and
Right.
lower higher lows and higher highs. So that is definitely there. If you look at 2013, 17, 21, and now, Bitcoin's continuously moved up in terms of volumes and pullbacks, right? So that's a typical of any asset, and that percentage size of crypto economy over total economy, that number is also continuously going up secularly.
Yeah, the
So
reason why I asked you is because today when we take a look at the Bitcoin value of 1 lakh, it might look big, right? So considering that, okay, maybe in next 20 years, it has a potential to become 30, 40 trillion dollars. So at a macroscopic level, it still has a potential for 30x or 40x.
yes, I would say this whole idea. So one Bitcoin is 10 raised to power 8 Satoshi.
Uh,
So right now, one Satoshi is starting to become significant, right? Because it's what one. If you are one Bitcoin is 100,000,
hmm,
each of your Satoshis is zero point 0.1 cents. So
hmm,
at
hmm.
10 times the scale, you start to get 1 cent kind of economics.
Okay, okay,
Over a period of over a long enough timeline, I don't think it stopped out just because it's 100,000.
right,
Uh, this is again going to be an asset which you are going to look at fractional ownership and things like that over a period of time. And there'll be more assets, and they might become bigger than Bitcoin as well over a period of time. No, nobody knows. But this is today, Bitcoin is the bellwether. And again, because of the resilience and the trust
right.
that it has much more trust than other cryptocurrencies. Uh,
I think one more thing which I would want to add is again, so like you can see like how slowly the acceptance and influence is slowly going to change your perception towards things. Like for example, you see people around you wanting to try, people around you wanting to do something. You people around you are telling, okay, I will try investing in Bitcoin. So that itself, that small change of thought, what we see in people's mind, actually would want to make others accept it as a
that
asset.
is
Right.
that is how honestly, yeah, I
Right.
completely agree with you, and that is how it goes, right? Like even when we buy normal transactions that we do in our life,
Absolutely.
a lot of it is even like for a movie, we ask our read a review. I read a review and then go to a movie. So Basically, what you're looking for is some recommendation, validation, and
Absolutely.
but what have you seen amongst the traders that you interact with? Have you seen interest for Bitcoin, Bitcoin futures and options trading? What have you seen?
I see a lot of them. When I say a lot, I literally mean a lot of them actually showing interest towards Bitcoin. There
Yeah,
are two main reasons for it. One, obviously, the Bitcoin itself being up, and everybody wants to be a part of it. The second one is the alternative markets, especially the F&O of equity,
yeah,
right? Trading that is becoming a lot of challenge, not just because of let's say the movements, also the kind of regulations that are coming into picture, where uh, for you to build a model around it or a business around it, so the regulations are so frequently changing. Things are not so stable for you to build anything on top of it, right? So it's not that it cannot happen here, but at least now, for now, in terms of the opportunity, in terms of the, you might say, the other asset giving way better returns, where you can make use of leverage, where you can like multiple things are there, right? The added advantage, and the other side actually becoming more and more harder to deal day by day. So a lot of people want to definitely try to get into the other side of cryptos. So uh, today itself, I had got 2 3 messages where people who
hmm.
were actively trading equities, right? So today I also wanted to try their hands in crypto, and slowly and steadily, I feel when more and more people on social media actually start talking about it, because I have seen couple of posts on Twitter also where people are saying they made so and so much returns on crypto, and
Yes,
here people are
those have
struggling to
started
make
to
money.
surface. Yeah,
People are
yes.
making struggling to make money with equity. So these are small things which actually influence people towards coming into cryptos.
Yeah, and that's the thing we were speaking about earlier, right? Like momentum is strong, there's more opportunity. That is definitely attractive for traders. And it doesn't, to us at least, when we are looking and talking to people, it doesn't feel like momentum is anywhere close to, uh, you know, hitting a sort of a ceiling. It's probably just starting. So the vibes are quite similar to how they were back in 2020 last quarter.
Okay. So this I think you can answer better, Pankaj. Like in the sense, you would have a better insight on how much people are. I think there are, apart from Delta, there is no renowned exchange in India at least offering F&O, which I know.
Yes. So
Uh,
futures, okay, options, we are the only one.
yeah,
And futures, there are a couple of other guys who are offering. But I would say our volume profile is much stronger.
got you.
And yeah, then
So
there are
how is
some foreign
the this thing,
exchange.
participation?
I'm sorry.
Since how is the participation now for you guys? Like it's, you will have a better idea on how many people are showing interest towards crypto.
No, we are seeing very strong growth. We have done 1.5 billion in turnover today, close
Oh,
to
amazing.
$1 billion in futures alone, and then half a billion in options as well.
Oh,
We
that's
are
nice.
seeing very strong registration sign-ups, and basically, sign up to trade on the platform. A lot of it is driven by momentum. Plus, the platform is built for traders from a trading point of view. Like I said, you can bring in INR. You don't have to worry about anything else. You don't have to worry about any compliance issues. So one of the things that we want to ensure is that high on compliance and low on fees. That's what we want to deliver to traders.
Right.
So
I think just to give a context of
yeah,
what you said, so like 1.5 billion in turnover, daily turnover is actually so high. I think today BSC entire derivative turnover might be around 7,000, 8,000 crores, which is actually under a billion, the whole
okay,
derivative. So
yeah,
if
okay. I wasn't aware of that, but that sounds like it's good to hear. Uh, but look, India is a savvy market when it comes to trading, when it comes to derivatives. And we feel that India will be the largest cryptocurrency derivatives market in the world. So, for the sake of comparison, in equity futures and options, we are 65% of the global volume activity.
Oh, okay.
In crypto futures and options, we are less than 2% of the global volume activity.
I think we are more than that in, or maybe I might have got it wrong. Like
In equity,
in equity, I think we are
yeah, yeah, we are
little
more
more.
than 65. I just
Yeah.
didn't say how much, but we are close to 70, 75. So 65 as well, because that's a two-third, one-third mark, right? So
Right, right,
uh, in equity, we are by far the largest market, and for it's not just 1 year. We have been there for 5 years, and
right,
it's
right.
not just the participation; it's also the innovation that has come from exchanges and others, like the launch of weekly options, the launch of daily options. Um, then there is a bunch of, even go back to 2001, the launch of single stock futures.
Right,
India has
right.
been a savvy market with derivatives, not just in the last 4 or 5 years, but for the last 15 years. So there is no reason why India will be not the largest cryptocurrency derivatives market. We firmly believe that that's the case, and there is no reason for Indian futures and options traders to go outside India to trade futures and options. In fact, we would say don't do that, because there's a lot of compliance issues around that. So stay, you have your Indian platforms. We are registered with FIU. Your money comes through your bank. You do your KYC AML through your Aadhaar card, PAN card. Everything is linked, everything is reported. uh, your money is kept with the banking system, Indian banking system. Your money is withdrawn to your registered bank account and your name. There is no cryptocurrency hacking risks and others.
Hmm.
And you know you have you it's an asset class which has momentum. You trade whatever your profits and losses are. You properly file your taxes on it, and keep the things clean. And like I said, high on compliance. All the money stays in India. All participants in India. Everything is clear on that, and low on fees. We have the lowest fees in the market. Better than any other player. We have the highest volume and the best liquidity. And anybody can come and become a buyer or a seller. You can start providing liquidity in the order books on your own. We have advanced
Got
order types, APIs. So yeah. My sense is there is no reason India will become a key player in the crypto derivatives landscape globally.
I have actually a genuine question, Pankaj. So, given that, okay, so like how you spoke about a lot of participation coming in Indian markets and so on and so forth, right? And also on the other hand, it's the same asset that is being traded on multiple exchanges, right?
Yes,
At various different times.
yes,
When I say time, I mean to say the
at
volume
all
comes at
times,
various
because it
Huh.
trades
At all
24/7.
times, but volume comes at different time.
Yes.
Maybe, yeah. So here is how, in general, like on a broader level, how are all of these exchanges maintaining the same asset price? Like, isn't like, what I want to know is, let's say tomorrow, today on Delta Exchange, if people start aggressively purchasing, right? And because Indian traders are the one actually trading in Delta, right? So let's say they want to come in and all of them start this thing, right? So who here or who is actually ensuring that the price actually stays in uh, par with the globe?
That is market participants only, right? So let's say on one venue, if the price diverges from other venue, let's say on one venue or one exchange, price goes to. This is the same thing with BSE and NSE, right? Let's say a share is
No, no.
trading higher
Why I
on.
ask this specifically is with BSc and NSE, like I will tell you what I can do is I can trade, but like I can trade in the sense maybe I cannot, so I cannot easily trade like how I can trade on Delta with maybe somebody outside India, like a broker registered outside India.
No, that
Huh.
I don't think India or outside India will also matter. Let's say, let's first talk about two venues outside India. The
Huh.
problem is the same, right? Like, so there's one Coinbase which is US dominated, one Binance which is China
Hmm.
dominated, so on, to our understanding. Now, if the price starts to diverge, then people will go long on the cheaper exchange and short on the expensive exchange. Be it spot, when they'll buy. If it is futures, they'll just open a position.
No, no,
And then,
that part I get it. The
yeah,
arbitrage part I get it. So there will be no arbitrage
there'll be no
existing. So,
arbitrage. And again, you
huh.
can do that for India as well, no? Because if there are more than one venues, you can start to do that. Even otherwise, there is a mechanism in the place to
Mhm.
ensure that this does not happen.
Okay.
So, first of all, if this happens, then there is an arbitrage, exploit
Mhm.
it. If it But how do you ensure? So the settlement that happens in the product, that happens basis a price which is taken from most liquid exchanges. So for
Okay.
example, we settle on an index. So for
Okay. Okay.
example, your Nifty futures are basically an index which is Nifty,
Right. Right.
and that index is the constituents which are
Mm-hmm.
independent of the futures contract technically, right? So similarly, Bitcoin futures that trade on Delta are settled on a Bitcoin index. Now that
Got it.
Bitcoin index takes its price from three most liquid venues globally.
Okay.
So
Okay.
if you see future trading at 95 and the index
Mm.
is trading at 100, then you buy and hold till expiry, you will get this
Got it.
better settlement. So
Got it.
that
Got it.
that mechanism sort of ensures that this thing happens.
Understood. I think this makes much more sense because, like, one issue what I had was, since I cannot easily trade futures on some other platform with
Yeah, then
respect to
you
the
won't be able to ask.
money aspect. I'm telling, like,
Yeah.
transferring my money, getting the this thing there, and
Yeah.
transferring back.
That will be a troublesome. So that's the thing, right? In any so how do you in any derivative that you design, you have to ensure some sort of a settlement and sanctity.
Right. Right.
Otherwise, price can go haywire.
Right. Right.
But this is taken care of through the index and the settlement mechanism. And we have the same kind styling. So these are cash settled products. So you go
Hmm.
P2 minus
Yeah.
P1.
Yeah.
It's not like there's a physical delivery of the Bitcoin.
Understood.
Secondly, these are, one more, they settle on TWAP. So it's not like there's a wick in the price and, it will go anywhere. You take a
Okay.
moving average, you take 30 minutes closing average and so on and so forth.
Got it.
And you've been trading on the platform, so you would have seen the books and the structure
Right.
and
Right. Right.
layout and everything as well.
So
But talking
yeah.
about that, what kind of strategies do you see in this market for traders? Yeah? Let's talk about futures. Of course, we discussed there's momentum. Momentum in itself as the opportunity, right?
Right.
And what I'm gonna do is maybe put up the platform window just so
Sure.
that
Yeah.
so guys, this is how our platform looks. Here you can see details. But yeah, let's go to the markets. So let's go to futures markets first. So this is some annotations that I was doing,
Right.
but yeah,
So let
these
me
are
also open up the same.
yeah.
Like, I think. Yeah. So broadly, what I have seen, Pankaj, with
Hmm.
respect to crypto as a whole, right? So I did try some conventional strategies of F and O, what I used to do on equity, but they are not the best case for crypto, in my opinion, at least of
Yeah.
what I have observed. Right. So some things which really work well in crypto is the trend following strategy, right? So
Yes.
when it catches the trend, it really does. Like, even let's say a trend of consolidation, when you say, it is really a trend of consolidation. Maybe if you see from March to uh, November, right? So
Yes.
the uh, period between 50,000 to 70,000, it was actually a consolidation. And when it's an up move, let's say that. So this was the period where I was telling, somewhere in Feb, I got into Bitcoin at 40,000, then it
Yeah.
went all the way to 70. Huh. So when it trends, it really trends, and when it consolidates, it really consolidates. So I feel uh, trend following, I also mean not just uptrend, downtrend. So even a consolidation is like, even following, building strategies around consolidation, something which can actually help out. So this is something which I have. So let's say continuing for a trend for a prolonged period is something which is unique, I have seen about, or at least observed in Bitcoins,
It's
right?
very it's very jerky market in that regard. So
Yeah.
this is weekly, right? So you would see that there's 4 weeks straight from
Right. Right.
70,000 to 100,000. But look at this. From March till October, this
Right.
was pretty much, within a very tight range, 20% range. And if you have options which are weekly or monthly expiries, you'll still get a lot of implied volatility on those, like
Right. Right.
65%, 50%.
Right.
We've seen a lot of interest in that kind of activity from our traders. Like, when it is consolidating, like weekly options is something that become really popular. Daily options is something that become really popular.
Okay.
So
Okay. Yeah, so this is again, like as I said, even maybe during 30,000 period, so it consolidated for quite some time. Then when the rally began, it was straight up 40-50% rally. Then again a consolidation around 40,000. So whatever trend it holds, whether a trend of consolidation or up move or down move, so it gives, so it's not a short-lived move, what I would like to say, at least what I
yeah,
have observed. Right, so it is not like it just consolidates for a very short period or moves up for a very short period, suddenly comes down and breaks the whole trend. So here, one thing which I am actually working on is also with respect to automation, not just with respect to uh, like it's like just a discretionary implementation of the strategy, is to work on proper trend following strategy, at least based of the patterns what we have observed.
hmm.
So one more thing, what we have also observed is the trend that caught in Bitcoin is much better than what we have seen with respect to capturing in index movements. So why this becomes important is for the kind of trades you develop, right? So one very important aspect is the risk to reward in your trade, right?
Yeah,
So there is one aspect of probability. So I always believe the probability, it's very hard to get your probability above say 60%. Somewhere you might be in the range of 40 to 60% always. So
I
50%
think
is,
that's also very good, to be
yeah.
honest. 40% to 60% is also pretty good. 60 and above is, of course, exceptional, I would say.
Right. So in market, something like 53-54% is something which I have achieved over the last 5 years. If you see my track record,
Yeah.
so almost 55% of my trading days are profitable. Right.
Hmm.
So because market, the kind of risk to reward dynamic what the market offers is quite different when it comes to crypto. Right.
Hmm.
So here, crypto by far offers very good in terms of risk to reward, especially if you're following a trend following strategy rather than. So first thing what I tried doing in crypto was the short straddle and short strangle, which I've been doing from quite some
Yeah.
time. So
Yeah.
what I also observed is maybe for the kind of market, it is not the best strategy that can be used. At least it didn't work out very well for me in the initial days. But
Hmm.
later, so what I used to do is I used to wait for a big fall, make use of the high IV and then short. So that really helped in some part. But yeah, now the thing what we are mostly trying to focus on is trying to focus on higher risk to reward trade. We are okay with even something like 30%, 35% probability, but we are
Yeah.
looking for risk to reward trades like 1 is to 4, 1 is to 5. So those kind of trades is what we are mostly looking at now.
No, that makes sense. And you spoke about volatility, and we have a bunch of analytics here in options. And I think today morning only, the IVs had shot up to what 125%. Because today
Okay,
morning
okay.
is when the move happened. So look at this.
Oh, okay.
125% sharp spike from 38. And then
Oh,
it's
nice.
dissipated nicely. And this is exactly what you were saying, right? Like use the
Right, right, right,
spike
right,
to sort of use the spike to take the position against the trend,
right,
and
right,
this IV would have spiked on and it's dissipated in next 12 hours itself.
right, right.
And this is our IV minus RV chart. Look at how far from the standard deviation it is.
Actual this thing.
This like two standard deviation is not even able to cover it. This is like five
Right.
standard deviations. So So like 10 units percentage points is one standard deviation. The
Right,
shift is
right.
like 50 points away. So
So I think this is both a boon and a bane in
yeah, if you're
broader.
short and you want to be hedged around these positions,
Yeah,
but
because
if
like
you
by the time you wake up in the morning, you go to sleep, wake up in the morning, and Bitcoin is all the way up.
yeah, so you
Like
have to be
100.
yes. So stop losses and capital management protection and hedges are important. But this
But that also,
opportunity,
on
if
the
you
other
catch
hand,
it,
is pretty good because when there is a news around, and when equity markets start to tumble, there is no way you can do anything with NSE BSE. The only way you can hedge yourself or do something is with maybe the cryptos.
yeah, that's another advantage of a market that is 24 cross 7. I mean, you can react very quickly to the news. It's like the gap because of the news, that sort of, is restricted. There is some trading that happens around there. And for example, and we've seen a lot of traders getting, a lot of options activity around macroeconomic events. So
Hmm.
every time there's a Fed news event, or every time there's a other macroeconomic events, we see a lot of activity in our daily options. Particularly the daily expiries, we have daily expiries every evening 5:30 India time. There is expiry,
Right,
and whenever there is an event, we'll see high, long positions start to come in, or
right,
long
right, right.
straddles start to come in into Bitcoin. For
That's
example,
nice.
there's one tomorrow or day after, the non-farm payroll one, and we typically see activity around these events.
Okay, okay, okay. So that time, I'm not really sure.
But the trend following thing that you said, that yes, that I also agree that one leg is options trading, of course, but these are trending markets. So even if you have a simple algo which does systematic buying, selling, and takes into account some. So we had done a research report where we were looking to study how does a simple MACD perform.
Hmm.
And what we found was that, look, if the interest rate in the ecosystem, if the dollar in the ecosystem, or if the dollar interest rate in the ecosystem is high, then, or which is how this funding is reflected, the basis. If this
Hmm.
basis starts to go really high, and then there's a sign of a very strong trend in the market. So if you
Okay,
have
okay,
higher basis, that you can use as a filter to get your correct positioning on MACD, and the
okay,
returns
okay.
were quite exciting actually. So we've seen a lot of these traders, a lot of our traders use these kind of strategies on these markets. So simple technicals would work with some filters which are sort of able to do a regime identification, as in, is it trending, is it consolidating, or
Got
is it downward or upward.
understood. Understood. Yeah, Pankaj. And so one more thing, like which I want to ask you
Yeah,
with respect to this is okay. From here, right? So where do you think broadly the whole markets of crypto, like not in terms of price, I'm talking about, in terms of adaptability, like this thing, right? So one is like I think some economies, I don't know if like I remember reading they're considering to make crypto into like a currency where you can receive payments in crypto. One of the economy I think had adapted it. I'm
I
not sure.
think there are nuances around this. For example, in a couple of states in the US, you can already pay your taxes in crypto. It's like, I think Alabama, and Arizona as well, or I'm not so sure, but a couple of states in the US allow you to pay taxes in crypto. You're allowed to collect sales in crypto as well in a couple of companies in
Okay,
the United
okay.
States. Then there is Federal Reserve. For
Hmm.
example, in India we have RBI, and RBI has foreign reserve, and we keep hearing, right? RBI foreign reserves at
Right,
record
right,
high. So they have dollar reserve and they have rupee reserve,
right,
and
right.
they have a balance sheet of their own. So similarly, US Fed also has, and China has also has. Every large economy has every economy has their reserve, and now there's a big charter that they will have some part of the reserve in Bitcoin. So
Okay, okay.
that will be a big move. Another thing that crypto markets are looking at, on the 10th, I think there is board meeting for Microsoft, where they
Okay.
are going to decide whether they want to allocate some of their cash into Bitcoin. So
Okay. Okay.
structural corporate treasury cash in Bitcoin, which means that every time they have 10 billion of cash, let's say they decide to put 100 billion of cash and they decide to put a 1% in crypto, then there'll be a 1 billion of their
Yield
position,
going right.
right? Now, this means that every quarter that they earn more, they will have a natural allocation for Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
Because even if the price stays there, wherever it is, they will want to maintain a certain ratio. So that gives a lot of structural flows to the market. So there are a couple of these kind of things that are happening. So there is countries who are saying we are happy to collect taxes, because countries, how do the states, how do they earn? They earn through taxes. So they are willing to collect taxes in crypto. Then there are companies that are collecting sales in crypto. Then there is or Bitcoin largely, not other crypto, but mainly Bitcoin. There is Federal Reserve, which is looking at allocating some part of its balance sheet in Bitcoin. There is large corporate treasuries that are looking at. Uh, so yeah, and then overall, a lot of countries are getting more and more positively inclined towards. In fact, something surprising that I have seen and something positive that I have seen, a bunch of countries have actually reduced the taxation on cryptos to very attractive levels. Like Italy, I think is one of them.
Okay. Okay.
They have dropped their crypto tax to 20%, and whereas other
Oh,
taxes are
okay.
quite high. So yeah, there are a lot of positives coming out of multiple countries. And look, I think now this is fairly established that this is a new asset class, and everyone wants a representation here. So once everyone wants a representation as something, and that starts to get accepted as a norm, more and more participation comes in, and you know, more and more sort of structural participation starts to come in.
Got it. So I think like I have one last question. Right.
Yeah,
So now there is a this thing of okay, the whole market being regulated, unregulated, and all that. So we have seen the downside of markets being unregulated, like where anybody can start their own coin from and dump it. So there
yeah.
is like there is absolutely no control over the things that is being done, right? So and like also when you try to put any kind of regulation, it defeats the whole purpose of why cryptos were formed, right? So in this whole thing, like what I wanted to understand is uh, so okay, tomorrow somebody is coming with a coin. Tomorrow, like it can be a good coin or this thing. Like how this whole ecosystem actually works. Like
So regulation is not just about what coins you can launch and others, but broadly around a lot of other things, like what can be
mm,
done, what can be not done. How do you custody money? How do you uh,
mm,
do customer vetting and all these things. Now, regulation is important and is good because it helps foster trust, right? It
mm,
builds trust and people can then rely. So, you know, since FIU has come in, people who are FIU registered now, they are following all the processes. So as a customer, you also know that other participants on this platform are also, the due diligence of these participants is properly being done, which
right.
basically reduces the risk of the platform as well. So there is, it will breed trust amongst the participants, and in that regard, it's good. Uh, and that's the only way to get to a large scale, and so that's the only way to sort of build for the long game, both for the companies as well and countries as well, like on a larger
Mm,
piece of economy. And it's not a bullet one time thing that look one day regulation came and the world before and the world after. It's a continuously evolving framework.
mm,
Like equity regulation is coming till today, right? And it
right.
changes
Right.
and updates and it adapts to market needs and behaviors. So I think here also the same thing will happen. It will keep updating, it will keep uh, adding, it will keep refining, and as and more of that happens, it will also keep increasing the level of trust in the system, which means it will keep increasing the participation in the system and overall growth of the system.
Got
So
it.
my sense is, uh, in the long run, that's the right and the only way to do things. And it will happen over a period of time. It's not like you can do it in one day. I mean, because it's a fast changing world. How do you, well, you don't even know the next innovation that is going to come in. So how can you draw,
Right, right,
guardrails for it today?
right,
Same thing
right.
with AI, right? Like the bigger challenge there is we don't know what AI is capable of and what it is not. So
Mm-hmm.
it's very difficult to regulate in the beginning.
Right. Yeah, Pankaj. I think it was a great conversation with you. First of
Yeah,
all,
good
like,
friend. Thanks for taking the time. Appreciate it. And, really, you took time out of a busy schedule. So that is,
no, 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 definitely not.
that was the idea, right? That we do
Yeah,
an interaction so that other people can
yeah,
also, who have similar questions, like, you have been trading. Think of people who have not started their journey. So for
right,
them, it will be very insightful. And because of your trading experience, people can also get a sense of what kind of return opportunities here, what kind of trading opportunities here, what is exciting, what is not exciting, when to
right.
trade futures, when to trade options, what kind of trends. So yes, that was the idea, that we do a natural conversation, and that helps others
Right.
getting understanding the platform and assuages any concerns and alleviates any fears.
Absolutely.
Good stuff. Thanks,
Yeah.
Saket. Thanks for your time.
Okay, Pankaj.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Great having
Thanks,
a
Saket.
lovely conversation. Thank you so much.